What? You bat your eyes to the camera? Is that your way of saying hello, everyone? Welcome to the podcast.
See, you did it for me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you doing today, Darren?
Good. Busy. I was supposed to do like an errand and have lunch for the friend's birthday, and all of it pretty much got canceled on account of work. So, yeah. So nothing big or anything. It's just, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Speaking of canceling things, I'm getting right into it today.
Great segue.
New World. Have you played New World? It was the MMORPG put out by Amazon Gaming Services. Came out about 4-ish years ago.
This is how late to the game I am. One, never even heard of it, and two, I didn't even know Amazon was in the gaming vertical.
Oh yeah, they put out a couple of games. I mean, I would have to look up the list at this point. New World, and I'm using quotes right now because it doesn't have an official end date, but it is ending as of October 13th, Season 10 launch, which is called the Nighthaven patch.
Mm-hmm.
It is the last patch that they are going to do. They are no longer supporting the game after 4 years. It's done.
For what reason, though? Like, did it just not garner enough support, enough sales?
So here's the funny thing about the support is that there's a lot of games out there that have a far smaller player base that are still going. I did a little bit of research right before we started this. When I was looking, there was about 7,000 people currently online, which that being middle of the day, evening, EU, whatever. Granted, this is worldwide on Steam. But there was about 7,000 people online with a 24-hour peak of about 7,500, which puts it, as far as Steam goes, just outside the top 200 of daily active users.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's just no longer making them the money that they need to, I guess.
I don't know enough in terms of not just video game development, but video game maintenance, because that's ultimately the world we live in now, right? So rewind like 30 years ago when we were on the cartridge / disc based games, and in some respect we still are. Back then it's like, that was the game, that was it, and you have whatever content that is on this disc to complete. Now in this day and age, sure. Now in this day and age, it's a lot of it lies in DLC. So to some respect, it's still the case where it's like you have, even if the game is downloadable, you have all this content to finish, and then that's it, right? But then you have the DLC portion of things where you can add on to the game. There's also things like Skyrim or World of Warcraft where it's just completely open world, where is it even possible to 100% it? Again,
you kind of jumped around a little bit there.
I've never played those two, so I wouldn't.
You jumped
know.
around a little bit there.
Yeah.
As far as 100%ing World of Warcraft, it really depends on what you yourself sets to what you consider 100%.
Okay.
And if you're talking about all achievements, that requires you to do, these long grinds for reputation or for specific sets of armor or whatever it is. Like, there are very, very specific things that some people have done over the years to set themselves up to what they consider is end game.
The problem, that's the problem right there, is we've gone from a cartridge-based system, or even disc, where, you have whatever's in the content of that game, and then that's it. Story's over, right? There is a definitive endpoint. Whereas now, you literally just answered that question. The endpoint of a game is up to the user, which, well, to one extent,
so I have to argue that whole thing, because Final Fantasy and even Zelda, yes, you can beat the final boss, but that does not mean that you have completed the game, because there is 100%ing the game. So if you're talking about just going in and beating the final boss in whatever the raid is, yes, you can complete the game and be done with it, and be done with the, quote, content that is available to you. Now, there are different difficulties. There is other things to it. So let's take World of Warcraft, for instance, all right?
Go ahead.
You have 3 very different end game goals that you can do. One of them is raiding. One of them is purely, this is the big bad for the expansion or for that patch of the expansion. Go kill him. You're done. All right. Mm-hmm. And that is technically in 4 difficulties. There is the raid find version, which is just you go in with a bunch of random people. The mechanics have been super dumbed down, and you get the storyline out of the way, and you're able to see the story in its entirety. Okay. You then have normal, which then you have to go in with a set group of people. So you actually have to find the other 9 to however many people to join you in order to do this thing, up to, I think, 25 now. Heroic is the same thing, just a higher level of difficulty. And then Mythic is, again, the highest level of difficulty in the raid scene.
Okay.
That's raiding. If you go on to another path, there's a thing called Mythic Plus, which is the dungeons. They introduced this system of Mythic Plus that make the dungeons more difficult the higher level you want to go on to it. So you have your normal dungeon, you have your heroic, and then you have your mythic. So then once you have a Mythic +2, that will be more difficult than a base Mythic. +3 is, again, more difficult than the prior, so on and so forth, up till you get to, I think it's +10 or +15 is where the benefits stop. But you can go higher if you want to continue to push yourself, your group, or whatever it is in this section of the game. Go ahead.
I think this is where like you lost me within your first sentence. And maybe that's just me as, kind of an old school type of gamer. To counter your point about Zelda, you'd have somewhat of an argument from Ocarina of Time onward, and that's only because the one thing that is not linear about the game is finding all of the heart pieces. That's it. Everything else about the game is linear. You cannot find, you cannot advance.
And the ghosts and the spiders and
yes and no. So the pose and the spiders, there's some necessities to them to advance in the game. Some necessities.
You do not need all 5 bottles in order to beat Ganon. There are people that are doing it with 1.
No, but again, there are artifacts within the game that are required to advance to the next point or to advance the story of the game. Probably the big
glitchless.
Without glitching,
let's make sure that glitchless.
Without glitching. Yeah, we got it. We have to specify. So to counter your point, Zelda is, with the exception of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, is very linear. The only difference is, things like bottles, pose, all the extra. Yes, you can qualify that as 100% in the game. Me, if I play a game, I want to play start to finish. Once you start adding these other elements to where the game just doesn't end, I'm sorry, you're going to lose me real quick. So
you're also comparing a single player game, which granted I did bring those up, but you are comparing a single player game with an MMO.
Again,
you're comparing this thing that now there are people that have done it. There are people that take these games to an extreme and they will do stuff, solo content. Like there was one guy, I think it took him like 21 hours to clear a dungeon, but he did it a raid, but he did it by himself. This normally takes 10 people.
Okay.
But he did it very, very slowly and methodically. Yeah, it took him almost a day.
I think, tying everything back to the original point, as far as Amazon pulling the game is concerned, is I don't know enough about game development, let alone game maintenance from a business perspective. Yeah, if you have a SKU item that's just not selling and it winds up costing you more money to hold the inventory or to hold the shelf space for it. And when you think Amazon, a digital item, how can there be shelf space? Well, there's storage space on a hard drive, and that costs money. I totally understand if they're pulling a game that just doesn't pull the numbers.
My big thing with that is that if we go back to 4 years ago, okay, when this game first came out, when New World first launched, it launched as a very incomplete game. It launched as a game that should not have been out. It should have been released as a beta. But the reason they released it instead of going early access is that Blizzard, that's when all of those harassment lawsuits were going on at Blizzard. That's when
just
are
Blizzard?
You familiar? Blizzard was the big one because Blizzard this is a direct competitor to World of Warcraft being an MMORPG. Not sure if you know the acronyms. I get it. I'll try to slow it down a little bit.
No, massive multiplayer online role-playing game. Yeah, I know those.
Nice. But they released this game too early. They released it in an unfinished state. And again, I understand why they did it, because Blizzard was in this really rough spot where they were firing people. That was that whole thing when they had the frat-like workspace or whatever, or culture they had brought in.
Yeah.
Yes. They were in this horrible, horrible spot. Amazon jumped on it. Cool, go them. The game was a massive success for the first few weeks, but then really quickly fell off because there was no end game. So the big thing about MMOs is that you have to have what's called an end game loop. You have to have something that makes you want to continue playing this game once you have killed the big bad. Getting back into what I was talking about before, one of the third things for like World of Warcraft and also for New World as far as an in-game thing goes is player versus player, PvP.
Mm-hmm.
So you hone your abilities, your gear, your skills, and everything towards defeating other people, whether it is in a 1-on-1, a 5-on-5, a 40-on-40. That is another part of the end game that you can do. And some people, like myself, I spent an entire expansion. That's all I did was player versus player. I would log on while everyone else was doing raids. I would get together with my like 14 other people and we would go into battlegrounds and we would go in and do rated battlegrounds. And we would work together as this 15-person team where everyone had their role. They knew exactly what they were doing. One of the things that I did, I was what was called a target caller. So I would call out something to someone. I would give a countdown of 3, 2, 1. When I said 1, all people focused, they switched their target. They would see me do whatever I was doing at that time. All of our damage would get pumped into a single character, hopefully eliminating them from that fight, creating a 15-on-14 or a 15-on-13 or whatever the odds are. Right. We were taking out someone instantly. I mean, we had a lot of fun with that.
For the strategy portion of a game like that, I could sort of respect it. You know, being a fan of like the military games like Battlefield 6, and I don't even know if I would call Call of Duty, yes. Warzone, not so much. I think we have to make a distinction between the two now. You know, from a strategy level, I wish military games would, come up with the concept of if you die, you got to buy a new license. Like something to incentivize them to create more strategy rather than, running like Wyatt, love him. But one of the reasons why it's hard for him and I to play together is he's more of a run and gun type of person, whereas I'm more of a strategy based. To one degree or another, if you want to incorporate realism into a game, then I'm sorry. If you die, you lose. There's no respawning in real life. Try and mimic that as best as possible. And, from what you're talking about, I can respect the whole strategy level thing. But again, also, I mean, if we're stuck on this tangent of like 100% in games, no. Give me like a classic Zelda where there's like a definitive end point.
Okay, fine. We can go into that whole thing. You're literally, though, once again, you're describing Tarkov. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't, quote, respawn. Well, you do respawn. You go, you get put back into a lobby or you get put back into the menu screen, but you're completely naked at that point. You only have what was in what we call your prison pouch, your butt, your secure container. And that is either a 2x2, a 3x3, a 2x3, depending on what size it is. It can be all the way up to a 3x4. That is all you've kept. Your weapons, your ammunition, your gear is all gone at this point.
I would have loved
anyone else in that raid is able to pick up your piece of gear, your weapon, in whatever state it's in. So let's say that they put a bunch of rounds directly into your chest and destroyed your front plate. They pick that armor up with an absolutely destroyed front plate, and you're just not just throwing random plates back in. You have to find a plate that fits the armor that you're currently wearing, and then you can replace that plate.
I can respect the realism of that, and I wish I had a chance to play it.
Speaking of Tarkov, I do want to go over one more thing before I get into Tarkov. There is a change.org petition for New World that it's ending. As the time of writing this right now and us doing this, there is just over 29,000 signatures that are on it.
Isn't that more than the player base they had at peak?
No. Their peak player base was 913,634 players.
Yeah, you mentioned different numbers to me, so that threw me off.
No. What I mentioned was the 24-hour peak and the active player count right now.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
When this game launched, it was gigantic. It had almost 1 million concurrent players. That, again, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
I think we talked about Battlefield. I don't think Battlefield hit those numbers. They might have. I think Battlefield hit like 700 something thousand.
Yeah, they hit like 700 something thousand. Warzone, I think in its earlier iterations, I think hit similar numbers.
Battlefield's a little bit easier to do. Warzone, because it is a BattleNet game, you will never get proper numbers out of it. Blizzard holds those numbers like so near and dear to them, they will never release those numbers because they do not want you to see how bad off they really are. We have been looking for years. Now, there's a lot of third-party sites out there that will take characters that have logged in through like World of Warcraft to get very, rough estimates on those numbers, but they themselves do not release it. We have to go through all of these other things. But anyway, if you guys did want to go and keep New World going, the change.org thing is going to be reinstate AGS New World Eternum team. I don't know why I can never say the word Eternum. AE to me is just always a weird sound. I don't know.
Hooked
on Phonics did not work for me. Going back to Escape from Tarkov. It's finally launching. In 1 week from the day that this goes live, so next Saturday, Tarkov 1.0 will launch. And there's a lot of people that are really looking forward to this. There's also a lot of people that are still giving it a bunch of shit. They're trying to drum up some hype right now. Granted, this will have already happened by the time this releases, but tomorrow at 3 p.m., Twitch Rivals is coming back to Tarkov. There will be a $100,000 tournament. The prize pool is $100,000 put on by Twitch and partnered with Tarkov. 24 teams consisting of 3 players per team will compete in closed servers, 4 teams per server. There's like 3 rounds of things. I didn't go into the whole thing about what each round is. It's a lot. They'll just be competing. Basically, they're going to be looking for things. They're going to be trying to kill people. They're going to be trying to do stuff in game that BSG, Battlestate Gaming's, has put forth for them. Some of the known names that are going to be in this tournament are going to be Vibin, Gingy, Trey24K, Desmond Pillock.
I have no idea who that is, but yeah.
I kept calling him Desmond Pike because that IL on Twitch is so small. I just kept mispronouncing his name. Willard Z, Hyperrat TV, and also The Burnt Peanut. If you've never watched The Burnt Peanut, the dude is hilarious. He uses a face body changer or whatever to be this peanut, and he is just screaming. And he's hilarious.
There's something to be said about a streamer's popularity getting more the louder you are. I don't think it's necessarily the louder you are. I think it's just the more eccentric you are. I guess it goes along with showmanship.
So it's funny you say that because Desmond is one of the top streamers. Actually, the top streamers in there on Tarkov. I didn't see on that list. I did not see Gigabeef, Jesse Kazam, Airwing Marine, Landmark. Those are 4 of the biggest streamers in there. I didn't see them. Going back on that, Desmond is just really, really good at the game. He is boring as hell to watch.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's unique to maybe just the streaming side of things, where you could be boring as shit, but if you're insanely good at a game to where it's almost like an art form to watch, maybe that's the gimmick that gets people hooked. And there's so many different things I can sort of analogize that are similar to that. That's probably what works for them. One
of the things that people are a little miffed about is that during this whole thing, they are giving drops out. So you can watch them, you can get drops in game, weapons or whatever. The game launches next week, which means wipe happens next week. There's no end of wipe event going on. It is just, here's some free stuff for watching people. It gets deleted in 7 days. Why not wait 2 or 3 weeks to have these people compete on the 1.0 and allow us to have these items for the entirety of the wipe and the new part of the game? Why do you do it with just a week left?
Maybe it's to incentivize people within a specific period of time just to garner enough attention. I mean, it's an advertising tactic at the end of the day. Put it to you this way, whether or not it works, well, we'll find out the week after. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I don't know if you saw how bad MK collection flopped. I was excited for it. It was a cool idea. I know Street Fighter, ultimately did something similar. I love it. There is a place for nostalgia, and I was almost gonna buy it, but it was pretty cool. It had every iteration of the game to include consoles all the way up, I think, to MK4. But where they screwed things up on the announcement is there were several key fun games that came after MK4 that they didn't include, or they included a handheld version of it, which was absolutely trash. They just dropped the ball on it. And now everyone is calling it a cash grab. Probably are right.
By the way, the number I was looking up was as of 2 weeks ago, over 500,000 people have wish listed Escape from Tarkov.
Nice.
On Steam.
I'd be cool.
It's never been on Steam before. So,
well, it's never really been on a platform before, right?
No, you had to go and do it off of BSG, and you're going to have to. One of the things I didn't like about it is that you do have to, I guess, buy it, even if it is the base version. If you want to have it on Steam, you have to buy the base version on Steam and then link it to your BSG account, even though you have to link your BSG account anyway.
Which you've already
I don't know.
purchased a key before?
Yeah. So I mean, I've already
you're buying it twice, basically.
I'm not. As long as they have their cross servers from Steam and BSG, and I'm guessing everything's going to be held on BSG servers anyway, I don't see an issue.
That's fair.
So
I mean, do they at least give you a discount if you've already purchased like the beta?
No. You have to purchase the lowest level of the game, which I think is still like $50 or $60, but you get your highest level of the game. So like myself, I am a Tarkov simp. I bought the Unheard edition for like $250. I've also bought You the game. I bought CC the game. I bought Tweakin the game. Of all the people that I've purchased the game for, only one of them have ever actually played it.
I would have loved to at least tried it. I kept blue screening every single time I loaded, which tells me I need a new PC. I didn't need something to blue screen to tell me I needed a new PC. What's funny is that me and Amy were just at Costco the other day, and I saw like an MSI tower for like $2,300. Dude, the thing was rocking a 5080.
Okay, so again, this thing right here behind me.
Yeah.
Delivered, taxes, everything, $1,800. It has a Ryzen 7. It has a 5070 in it. I was running Overwatch the other night at 650 FPS. Okay, there is no reason. I literally just turned off the limiters just to see what would happen.
Let's just force crash this thing.
I tried. I couldn't.
As much as I've been satisfied with Dell and Alienware, I might be okay transitioning to MSI, in just buying something from Costco for the sake of trying it.
You're really bad with the cussing today. Jesus. I have a lot of editing to do.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry. It's just, I got nothing, dude. It's one of those things where it's like, it's who I am. Therefore, I should apologize for the sake of the podcast. But then again, it's like, you kind of knew what you were getting into.
All right. It's all right. I will make you sound good. So,
no, I trust you.
And again, this is another, I don't know if you've noticed by watching these things or not, but I take out a lot of the but the big silences. All right.
Yeah,
I make us sound way better than we actually sound.
Feel my pain for when I edit my reels. I have to do the same thing.
Going back to Tarkov, it might actually work for you because there is supposed to be improved graphics, a new heavily equipped enemy group called Black Division.
Okay.
They're supposed to have a new anti-cheat, which they have been historically, they haven't had one. Battlestate Games has stated they are implementing tricks, in quotes, to combat cheating with the 1.0 release.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either. Here's what I'll give them credit for. And this is like 100% a shot to Activision. I'm cool with you describing what you're doing to sort of enhance your anti-cheat. When you have the best, when you say you have the best anti-cheat on the market, I almost want to just stop playing because that immediately puts the target on your back. That was literally the case with Warzone. I give them kudos, if they're talking about whatever enhancements they're making. And, the same thing is going for Battlefield. I don't even hear squat about their anti-cheat system. And I've had nothing but pleasant experiences playing RedSec.
As of right now, I have not died to any blatant cheaters. Now, there have been some people that are kind of sus that I feel like they've tracked me through a wall or whatever without kill cams. Fine. Yep. One thing that I'm going to have to dig on as far as Tarkov goes is that their closed beta came out more than 3 years before Warzone did. And they are just now really getting into their anti-cheats. Now, granted, they have been in beta this whole time. They've been in beta for over 8 years.
Right.
Their closed beta started on July 27th of 2017. At least they're doing something with it. And they did give us something else, which they gave us the PvE. So we don't have to worry about cheaters at all anymore because it's just me and my buddies in there. And if one of them are cheating, it's not hurting anyone except
us,
the bots.
It kind of makes me a little concerned how behind the curve they might be, if they're just going after the anti-cheat now.
Don't know, but also with the 1.0 new PvE campaign with cutscenes, it's going to have 4 different endings. And one of the endings, I think they said less than 20% of the player base will ever see the 4th ending. There will be in-raid traders. The maps will release after you've completed some quests instead of just all of them being released at the same time or using transits. Terminal is finally going to get released It's looking like it's only going to be the PvE version of it, the PvE portion of it. We don't know anything else outside of that. There's a new no wipe character, which will be considered your quote main character. The way that Tarkov works to keep everything fresh is that every 6 months or so, they completely wipe the server to where you lose all of your level gains, you lose your weapons, your stash is empty, and everyone starts from pretty much the same point again.
Yeah.
There will be another character, which will be with all of the other characters, that is your no wipe character, and that should be on its own server.
I always, I mean, maybe I'm just a little bit more diabolical, but it's like in a game like that, you lose everything, fine, that's cool. All you got to do is start over again. With Warzone, all you got, if you're banned, all you got to do is create another email account and you're back. I was more along the lines of like, no, make it cheap, but charge for the game. Every single time you die, no, you got to buy a brand new license. And that would incentivize people to either A, stop hacking, or B, be more strategic instead of like a run and gun, bunny hopping ridiculous situation.
So you are trying to get the idea of a mobile game into a first person shooter where you have to pay for each life that you have.
Quintessent. I mean, again, I don't want to get roasted for making this suggestion.
Yep, too late. I'm making sure this is going as a clip.
Thanks, man. But again, that was one of my scenarios for saving Warzone was, oh, by the way, I guess this is like a subtle segue, but number one, compartmentalize the game, separate it out. If people want to download Call of Duty, they can download Call of Duty. But if they want to download Warzone, they can download Warzone. Bring back all of the maps, and rotate them the same way they did Rebirth. All right. Which apparently
you missed it. They're doing.
I know, which apparently rumor has it they're doing. Cool.
Next year.
Cool. You're too late, but at the same
Darren,
time,
you're late on this. We talked about all of this last week.
Oh no, I was talking about this last year. Where it's
no. I'm talking about they finally said it with the release of RedSec. They finally said that they're going to up their anti-cheat. They finally said that they are going to put maps into rotation. They finally said that they're going to do all of these things that we've been asking them to do for 5 years.
Right. And I was saying this a year ago. Move the game out of the stupid menu because it's annoying. Rotate the maps that you've ever made and don't take away a map when you introduce a new one. Charge for the game so that way it deters hackers. And I'm sorry, whatever argument anybody wants to make, but if someone hacking wants to fork over $60 after $60 after $60 just to make a look, whatever, if they're going to fork over.
The reason that it's not, and I want to cut you off before you go too far into it, is that there have been interviews with hackers for Tarkov, which is a $60 base game. All they do is they buy hacked accounts. Like they buy stolen accounts for like 99 cents. There was a guy that literally had a name on there of hacked account 1, hacked account 2, or whatever it was. And they're like, I wonder how high this thing is going to go. Because every time he got banned, he went to the next one and just renamed it one number higher. And he was buying them for like $3, $5.
Okay, so at what point is it going to be where hackers do enough damage where the game manufacturers themselves become their own spyware?
I already have a hot take. And that is that majority of the hacks that go out are created by the game devs themselves so that they can capitalize on having the game bought, selling a hack to the person, banning those people where they have to rebuy the game to then re-download hacks, so on and so forth.
That sounds more like a conspiracy theory.
Then give me a better answer why Call of Duty has not done hardware bans on people that have had multiple accounts banned. They refuse to do it.
It's a great hot take. I understand that they refuse to do that because, there's obviously going to be some ethical lines that are going to be crossed. At what point are we going to start crossing that line? And all it's going to take is for one game manufacturer that's popular enough to do it, and everyone's going to jump on the bandwagon. And then
it's already happened.
Okay. Even still, with what game?
Valorant. The Vanguard system is a root level anti-cheat that literally is in your computer and is looking at the current programs that you're running in order to see. It is such a good anti-cheat that if you try running a cheat on a game that Valorant isn't a part of, or not Valorant, Vanguard isn't a part of, it will still ban you from other Vanguard games because you've used a cheat with Vanguard in place.
Okay.
So if you use, if you have have Call Valorant on your computer, right? And you use a
Right.
cheat in Warzone, it will ban you from games like Valorant because it detected a cheat in another game.
Okay.
It's already
All
there.
right.
And people have already bitched about it.
Okay.
And guess what? You still have a far smaller amount of hackers in Valorant or anything that uses Vanguard than any other game out there.
Okay, so on one level, I can respect Valorant, you know, for going that direction to push that envelope. Even someone that's making the suggestion of becoming their own spyware, where I'm going to say Valorant's crossing the line, is software being used in other games. If they have the ability to detect it being used within their own game, sure. Or the game manufacturer of Valorant can do a sweep for all of its games underneath its own umbrella. Sure. Whoever made Valorant shouldn't give, you know, squat about what someone's doing under an EA game. So that...
Here's the thing. They're not going to get them banned from that EA game, but because that cheat is being used and it shows, it's the same thing. Like if you're committing like international theft in like 7 other countries and you've been caught, they're not going to let you into this other 8th or 9th country.
I mean, what is this like
you are going to be on a ban list in those
like
countries.
The 5 families of video games.
Well, okay, so but that's the whole thing, is that if you've been caught cheating in these other games,
I'm for.
They're not giving you that other chance.
Which I'm for that, you know. Hacking, cheating, you know, because hacking, I would say, is probably carrying different elements to include cheating. Cheating in on itself, you know, back in the day, like old school Doom, IDDQD, you know, yes, that would ruin the skill someone could brag about in saying, hey, I completed this game with, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then when you introduce, you know, the God mode code, you know, you sort of start losing that argument. But then there's a nostalgia factor to that too, right? You're not necessarily breaking the game. You're doing something that's already built into it. That, I think, is far be it different than what people are doing nowadays with wall hacking, for example, aimbotting.
Comparing a single player game to a multiplayer game, that single player game, you're not impacting anyone else other than your own fun.
I mean, Doom's primarily single player, but it's not just single player.
You can't turn on God mode in your multiplayer games.
Yeah, you can. I believe it was Doom 95. You had that option. So, but that was its own, what do you call it? Interface. That was separate from the earlier iterations.
So what, you just both ran around invincible trying to kill each other?
Yep.
Just blasting each other in the face?
No. Cooperatively. So you could run God mode and cooperatively run through the game. So I don't,
whatever.
I don't think you can do it in the new versions.
That's still campaign. That's still, yes, you add another person into it, but that's still that single player mindset. The same thing like I was talking about with the PvE versions of Tarkov. You have your little thing. You're not impacting other people.
Well, again, you know, when it comes to like, you know, the cheating and hacking portion of things, yeah, they are, because when it comes to wall hacking, that's ruining the game in on itself. Aimbotting, it's ruining the game in on itself. Something like, you know, what Doom did back in the day wasn't ruining it for anybody else.
Arguing the same point here.
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. I mean, go Valorant for being the first to go that direction. But again, you know, it's like, at what point is it going to be too much? When we do cross that bridge, there's only one group of people to blame, and it's the ones that caused all of it.
It really has taken a huge hit on the video game industry. And let's be honest, the hacker situation got so bad with Tarkov that people just stopped playing it altogether. There was this thing called the flighting sliding. I have clips also of people doing random stuff, but they would literally be in a prone character model flying at head level, coming around, and they would knife you and instantly kill you, and they were completely invincible. I have a clip actually somewhere, I think it's on my TikTok, where there's this dude walking in the air, firing down at me, and I'm just like, and the thing is, it's like at the end of that round, I see the person's name. The blatant hacking like that, I can report it. It doesn't mean it's going to do anything. And so I'm hoping that they end up doing more. Tarkov really has to step their game up, because 1 week ago, Arc Raiders launched, which is supposed to be the Tarkov killer, even though Tarkov hasn't fully launched yet.
It's preemptively killing Tarkov. I've seen Arc Raiders being played, and I don't know. I can't do the third person perspective.
So that is the one thing that I'm not a fan of, is the third person perspective. Other than that, it's not, everything else looks good, you know, and it's getting really great ratings across the board. Steam's given it a very positive at 91%. PSN gave it a 4.4 out of 5. PC Gamer gave it an 86%. It's doing well. Again, I have not played it yet. I plan on on playing it, but I'm kind of on that Battlefield grind right now and haven't really gotten into it.
Yeah, I mean, Battlefield's done very well. I've been very impressed with the game so far.
Speaking of new games, before we get into Battlefield, because they've changed a buttload of stuff over the past just few days. The Outer Worlds 2 also released. It released on October 29th, a little over a week ago. It's not doing as well as Arc Raiders, but then again, it is a single-player game, not a multiplayer game. Steam's got it at a 78. PC Gamers got it at an 83. And IGN is giving it an 8 out of 10. IGN, I feel like you have to pay them to get a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 anymore.
If I recall correctly, only 2 games ever got, what was it, like a 9.9, something like that, like the highest rated ever. And I believe one of them
from IGN,
from someone, I can't remember. It might have been IGN, but I know Zelda, I can't remember if it was Ocarina of Time or Breath of the Wild, got it. And then what's the game that became a TV show?
There's a lot. I'm looking at a list right now of every 10 out of 10 game from IGN. I think they've got 70, 80 of them.
Oh, okay. Then it probably wasn't IGN.
Stardew Valley, Baldur's Gate, Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4, Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, Metroid Prime, Elden Ring, Forza 5, Undertale. I'm just scrolling through this list. Who was it that gave Black Ops 7 rave reviews?
I have no idea. I actually just saw the commercial for it the other day too, and I'm like, good luck to you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a bunch of people that have just been glazing the hell out of this game, and I'm not going to buy it. The last one I bought, I think it was Warzone 2019.
Would that be, you mean a Black Ops game specifically? That would have been Cold War.
No, I didn't buy Cold War. Call of Duty in general. I think it was whatever Modern Warfare 2019 was the last one I purchased. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it. The campaigns are trash.
Really?
The multiplayer is bad.
Wow. You and I are on 2 different fields then, because I thought the 2019, granted, story-wise, I preferred the original Modern Warfare over the newer, but that doesn't mean I didn't like the newer story.
It's the same story.
It is mostly the same story. They sort of...
You're in a jungle, sneak up on these 5 people, release some dudes, go kill this guy in the tower.
Oh, shut up.
Sit out from outside the wire and have your 1 or 2 sniping missions. Your dedicated Spectre gunship mission. Use your Hellfire missile.
How are any games ever successful with your level of disapproval for them?
Because they have a good loop. They have something that's, again, I also gave the new Battlefield thing. Like I said, their storyline was mid at best. I didn't care for that either.
That's fair because number one, I haven't played it yet, so I have no frame of reference. But 2, that was kind of what I was hearing across the board. I not only went down the wrong pipe. I not only heard differently from Modern Warfare 2019, but I experienced differently than what you described. I
guess to me, it's all the same game, which is, I don't enjoy single player games anymore purely because it's all the same. Like, there is nothing new.
And that's where, again, like Wyatt, I'm going to pick on him for an example. That's where we all have our different perspectives and different enjoyments, because you prefer to play games. You almost don't give 2 shits about the story. You'd much rather play in a community, unless it's a story that's partial to you, or something that you grew up with.
If it's inventive, I'll enjoy it. Like I would, if I were to play it, I would probably enjoy the story to Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. I've never played them, but those are games that they've put a whole lot more thought into than using the same 6 textures that they've been using since like 2004 and just updating them in Unreal Engine 5. It is the same jungle map with the same freaking ravine and 12 boulders around some kind of a camp where you're taking dudes out.
Again, I think I'd have to replay 2019, but I think you're over exaggerating that one in particular, because I know for a fact that there's more urban environments in Modern Warfare 2, if I remember correctly, than there was Modern Warfare 1. Modern Warfare 3 I didn't buy. I'll give you that one. But the multiplayer I thought was fun.
And again, that's what people, and again, I talked to other people about it in the comments and whatever else. We don't buy COD for the story. Like, very few people buy it for the story. They buy it for multiplayer. They buy it. You don't You don't play FPS for the story, and I know that because you haven't played Battlefield story yet. You're only playing the multiplayer.
Just because I haven't played Battlefield doesn't mean I don't enjoy the story of any video game for that matter. It doesn't have to be an FPS.
Your exact comment from before is I buy these games to level up the weapons.
No, that was never my statement. Story. That was never my statement.
I'm gonna have to go back on that one.
Yeah, level up the guns. No, in multiplayer, yes, you would buy the game to level up the guns in multi because that's the fastest way to do it. I don't know if that's actually the case for Battlefield. I would assume that's the case because that's a very generic formula. But you can't hold against me a very generic formula that everybody agrees with. So
no. What the only thing that I'm bringing up is that you have said you buy the game for the multiplayer so that you can level up your guns quicker. And I'm like, why would you buy this game if you're not playing the multiplayer and you're not playing the story? Why would you purchase these games? You're like, oh, I play the multiplayer to level up the guns so I can get into Warzone and do better. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, if that's what you're doing.
No. So yes, you're right. I did use multiplayer to level up the guns, but that's not the reason I bought the game. So
did you buy Vanguard?
Hell no.
Did you buy Cold War?
Hell no.
Did you buy Black Ops 6?
The first and only Black Ops game I'll buy.
God, what the hell were the other ones?
And hilariously, I didn't even play the story of Black Ops 6. That was mostly for like the zombies experience.
But you don't play zombies.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I've never seen you play zombies.
Dude, I played it left and right. And the only reason why you didn't see me play it is because you didn't buy it. So
your streams? Did you not play it on stream?
Rarely. I think I did when it first came out. I might have done it once or twice on stream. And then after that, that was it. Because I understood that there's like, unless I'm getting to like level friggin' 200, even 100 for that matter, I'm not going to draw any amount of attention just playing zombies. No, I very much enjoy the story of certain FPSs, in particular, Modern Warfare.
I just think they're all the same.
I don't. The environmental factors of a game don't necessarily tell the story. Otherwise, it's like you could have been done with all of it just by watching Rambo and never play an FPS ever.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel, which is why I don't play these games.
Yeah.
Again, there's nothing new, there's nothing different, there's nothing inventive about any of these games. It is literally just the same thing over and over again. That's my take on the whole thing. Again, if there is a game that is different, I'll enjoy playing something that's different.
I think you missed.
So, like, if you want to take an FPS that I really did like and I enjoyed the story and everything else with Far Cry, I loved Far Cry 3, 4, and 5. Those were good games. Say again?
Never played it. I've heard of it, but I never played it.
I automatically assume that if I'm bringing up a game that is outside, again, of those ones we've talked about, you've never played it, and there's like a 70% chance you've never heard of it. That's
a fair statistic.
A game you have heard of, and I know you have played, is Battlefield 6. I finally got to try RedSec for the first time because it came out the day before I left for that wedding. I did not get a chance to play it until a couple days ago.
Yeah, you dropped with us.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's where you're leaving it?
I mean, it's not something that I'm going to go out of my way to play. It is not something that I'm going to be like, oh, guys, you really need to try this. This is something amazing. That's not it.
Here's the credit I'll give it. Warzone ruined me of multiplayer in general. Like, the only reason why I played it before and even now is either the Battle Royale was not available or I needed a level of guns. Otherwise, the concept of Battle Royale ruined multiplayer for me.
Did you just say the thing that you told me you don't do?
No, because you said I don't buy games for the story. I buy them to level up guns, which wasn't true. I buy games for the story primarily. But in the cases of multiplayer games, now that we have something like Warzone or Battlefield 6, Battle Royales in general. Yes, if I bought the game, I will use the multiplayer to level up the guns. That is not the basis in why I bought the game.
No, I need some kind of a stat. Who buys COD for the campaign?
Who buys any game for the sake of just the campaign?
Well, that's the thing. That's the story. So I want to know. And here's the thing: if you're playing an actual RPG, if you're playing Zelda, if you're playing The Last of Us, if you're playing, those Far Cry, that is the story. Like, the story is the game itself, and the multiplayer might be something on a sideline.
Right.
Same thing with like the Fallout series. You buy those games for the story. I would like to know who buys these FPS games, who buys COD for the story, because I got ripped apart in the comments for talking bad about Battlefield 6 story, and everyone's like, no one buys the game for the story. I'm like, I understand that.
Again, maybe I'm different. I loved Modern Warfare story. Thanks, man. Yeah. Kind of felt like that was shade. Whatever. I loved Modern Warfare story. Was not a big fan of Black Ops story. I did watch one campaign on YouTube. Battlefield, I from everything that I've read, it's kind of like, buying something from Amazon and you go after the negative reviews. If you find consistency in those negative reviews, then it's probably true. That's kind of how I felt with Battlefield's campaign, which might be unfair. Maybe I should try it. RedSec, Warzone ruined me of multiplayer in general. Battle Royale, I prefer Battle Royales. That being said, I think for all of the kinks RedSec needs to iron out of its Battle Royale, it is still in spades better than Warzone, if that makes any sense. Because there's a lot they need to fix.
Yes.
I'll give them.
Here's the thing, all right? We are comparing Battlefield 6 RedSec to current Warzone, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it's a fair comparison anymore, because we actually enjoyed 2019 Warzone. We enjoyed going to downtown and sitting on your building as a bush for 45 minutes every round.
I'm never going to hear the end of that.
We enjoyed having you pilot helicopters into Ferris wheels.
Shut up!
Look, these were enjoyable things. We had laughs. We had great trick shots. It was cool. It was fun. They ruined it by trying to reinvent and do whatever, and they've tried bringing it back, and I personally think that the RedSec thing is nothing more than a honeymoon phase of the new girlfriend, because we finally found something better than whatever the X was that we've been with called Warzone for the past half decade.
Well, okay. So the true test of all that, because I think one of the things I think they need to iron out is like the missions in the middle of the game. Those are very similar to contracts from Warzone. There's some things about RedSec that I'll give them the credit for, and then there's some things about Warzone that I'll give them the credit for, like the party management system. 100%, I will give that to Warzone. That's a much more fluid system. Even Warzone, towards before they brought Verdansk back, they like when they did the Squid Games element to it. Oh my God, that was hilariously fun. Those are the things that they should have introduced in Warzone 1 that maybe RedSec should pay attention to. Is, okay, you got a good thing. How do you expand upon that? And how do you keep people interested? That goes for any TV show. That goes for any podcast. That goes for any video game. It's one thing to get people to open the door and peek in a little bit. It's a whole other thing to get them through. It is an entirely different layer to keep them there.